A lot of evidence from evolutionary psychology that men are seeking younger women and women are seeking older men. Evolutionary psychologists argue that older men have more resources to protect and care for the family, while younger, more fertile women give their male partners better means of passing along genes. In a study of about 10,000 Swedish men and women, Feeder and his colleagues have found that men had the most children if they were partnered with women about 6 years younger than themselves. So the benefits of age-defying couples go both ways, plus the human species gets a boost. Scientific evidence, boys, that you should be pumping and dumping until you get to be a little older. I mean, maybe when you're 50, maybe when you're 55, maybe when you're 60, maybe then is when you hook up with somebody 30, 35 years old, 40 at most. If your plan is ultimately to get married and have children, why not wait as long as you possibly can? It's good for society. I mean, we now have scientific evidence that older men with younger women is a good thing.
What's up, fellas? This is going to be one of them videos, man. I ain't going to even lie. You know, I was notorious in 2017 for my angry rant and harsh admonishment type videos. But starting with 2018, I didn't do too many of those. So anyway, I'm warning you, this is going to be one of those angry rant type videos, man. If you're a father of a daughter, and your daughter is 17 years of age or younger, I understand where that protectiveness comes from. I understand it. I don't have no arguments with men who have daughters that are 17 years of age or younger, and they don't want their daughters messing around with any guys that are older than them. I understand it. If your daughter is a minimum of 21 years of age or older, you need to stay out your daughter's love life or sex life. Unless she's living under your roof and you financing all, paying all her bills, then you got a right to tell her whatever the fuck you want to tell her because you paying her bills. But if a woman is 21 years of age or older and she making her own money, you need to stay out of her love life. Yeah, quote me on that. Quote Alan Roger Curry on that. You need to stay out of her love life. Because I'm going to tell you how straight up here publicly. I don't like to talk about my personal business too much, but I'm going to talk about my personal business. Man, that's all I mess around with is younger women. That's all I mess around with is younger women. I just celebrated my 56th birthday on Sunday. My 56th birthday on Sunday. Now, again, normally I don't go this detailed into my personal life, but for the purposes of this discussion, I'm going to tell you. Number one, since I've been in my 50s, I've never had sex with a woman in the 50s who's in their 50s. Never. Since I've been in my 50s, I've never had sex with a woman in her 50s. Matter of fact, in my entire adult life, I only had sex with one woman in her 50s. When I was 46, 10 years ago, 2009, when I was 46, there was a woman who I had sex with who was a fuck buddy of mine that was 50. But she looked good for her age. She was an exception to the rule in terms of her physical appearance. She stated she was a nurse, stayed in really good shape. She didn't look her age at all. Matter of fact, she looked like she was late 30s, early 40s. But she was 50. That's the only time in my life I've ever had sex with a woman that was 50. The last time I had sex with a woman that was 45 years of age or older was 2013, 6 years ago. That was the last time I had sex with a woman that was 45 years of age or older. I remember, 2013, I was 50 and I had sex with a woman that was 47. Most women I've had sex with between 2014 and now have ranged anywhere from 22 to 44. 22 to 44. My usual average, I would say, is more like 28 to 44. 28 to 44. But I had sex with, my youngest, speaking of having sex with young women, my youngest in the last few years was actually when I was in Orlando for the 21 convention in 2017. When I was in Orlando for the 21 convention, I was 54. I was 54 at the time. I ended up having sex with a woman that was 22. The most interesting thing, I wasn't even trying to have sex with her. That's the ironic thing. I wasn't even trying to have sex with her. What happened, to give you, I ain't gonna get all the details of the story, but in a nutshell, I met this woman who was actually 41, who was real attractive. And I wanted to fuck the woman who was 41. But the second time I met with the woman who was 41, she brought along this coworker of hers who was 22. And we just start having this conversation. And towards the latter part of the conversation, you know me, it started getting X-rated, really sexually provocative. And skipping on miscellaneous details, what happened was I told both of them, I said, if y'all want some of daddy's dick before I leave town, send me a text message. Just say, what you doing? That's what I said. I said, just write me a text saying, daddy, what you doing? And then I'll know you want to give me some pussy. And they both laughed and they was like, oh, you so bad, you so naughty and all that type of stuff. Now, I expected to hear from the woman who was 41. Because to be truthful, between the two of them, at least facially, the woman who was 41 was more attractive than the one that was 22. But I would say body-wise, the one who was 22 had it more going on. Yeah, she had a very average face, but she had a real nice body. But sure enough, man, the next day, guess who I hear from? I didn't hear from the 41-year-old, but the one that was 22 ended up writing me a text saying, daddy, what you doing? And we hooked up and we fucked. Yeah, so anyway, I definitely don't make the names of the women I keep company of public. And probably 95% of the time, I don't make the faces of the women I keep company of public. But if people have checked out my Instagram, which I could tell somebody wrote in my comment section about 2 or 3 videos ago, they was on my Instagram, they saw me with a young lady when last time I was in Los Angeles. But the woman in that picture, man, she's 25 years younger than me. She's 25 years younger than me. When I was in Miami, I remember I showed a picture of a woman I was keeping company with to O'Shea and 1 or 2 other people. A fine-ass Cuban woman, 25 years younger than me. That's all I mess around with, man, is younger women, man. I know I'm going to hurt some feelings when I say this and bruise some egos among women, but I'm going to just keep it real, man. I'm not attracted to women who are close to my age. I would say definitely, if you're talking about for long-term relationships, not at all. I have no interest in having a long-term relationship with a woman that's close to my age. Ain't nothing a woman could do for me. And again, I know I'm hurting some feelings and bruising some egos, but if a woman is roughly 45 years of age or older, she can't do anything for me. She can't do anything for me. Because number one, man, my only motivation to engage in a long-term relationship with a woman, I'm talking about like, say the type of relationship that could potentially lead to marriage, is I would want a woman to give birth to some children for me, at least one child for me. Ain't no woman in her mid to late 40s going to be giving birth to no children, so she can't do anything for me. Now, I would probably still have like a one-night stand or a weekend fling or some variation of casual sex with a woman that's, maybe 45 years, 45 to 49. Or she could be a polyamorous lover of mine. But other than that, man, yeah, I'm just generally, unless a woman's what I call an exception to the rule, meaning she really keeps herself in extraordinarily good physical shape and that type of thing, women who are 45 years of age or older don't really do anything for me. Now, I would say even to a lesser extent, women who are between 40 and 44 don't do all that much for me, although I have messed around with at least a handful of women that were between 40 and 44. My preference is women, I'd say roughly 25 to 39. 25 to 39 would be my preference. I would even say more so 28 to 39. 28 to 39. Yeah, 28 to 39. I've messed around with a lot of women in that age range in the last few years. There's women that are 28 to 39. I don't see why all these, I notice it particularly among black people, at the risk of generalizing. A lot of black people have problems with that, man. They have problems. Man, I don't like to bring race into the issue on a lot of my discussions, but I have to at least touch on it a bit, man. Man, most white people don't be tripping off that shit, man. They don't. If any of y'all live in Los Angeles, where I used to live, and I go back there frequently, man, if you live in a city like Los Angeles or New York, a major metropolis like those two cities, man, you're going to see that shit all the time, man. Man, when I lived in Los Angeles, I regularly saw men who in their 50s, 60s, and 70s with women who were between 21 and 29. Regularly. I mean, it wasn't even nothing that was considered abnormal. You regularly saw men who were in their 50s, 60s, and 70s dating women that were between 21 and 29. And even sometimes women who were between 18 and 20. Like I heard a guy on a podcast talking about, trying to say, well, I think guys are disgusting if they're even attracted to a woman who's like 18, 19, 20, 21. Man, I don't want to say the N-word. Motherfucker, please spare me with that bullshit. You are a liar. You are a liar. Hell yeah, I'm physically attracted to women who are 18, 19, 20, 21. Now, I rarely mess around with women since I've been in my, 30s, I think. I don't think I've ever messed around with a woman that was under 21. But I would be a bold-faced liar if I would say I don't find them physically attractive. My main thing is personality-wise. Personality-wise, a woman who's 18, 19, 20, I almost look at them as having the personality of a little girl, man. And that's why I'm not attracted to them. Because in terms of maturity level, they just, believe it or not, part of what attracts me to a woman is her personality. I know some men act like personality is totally unimportant. Now, when you get older, man, personality comes into play just as much as looks. And, I can't mess around with a woman who has the personality of a little girl. Man, when I was between 19 and 28, 29, man, I regularly had girls that were 15, 16, and 17 throwing pussy at me. Regularly. And there was one, I remember this one chick, she was 16 when I was 22. Yeah, there was one chick when I was 22, she was 16. Man, she threw the pussy at me real hard. I mean, like, real hard. And that brings me to another point. A lot of people in society, when it comes to older men and younger women, they always talk with the assumption that the older man was the aggressor, the initiator and or the aggressor. That's bullshit. That's bullshit, man. That's bullshit. Bullshit. That's bullshit, man. Man, I've had a lot of younger women who made the first move on me and were basically the aggressor. A lot of younger women, man, are attracted to older men. They like men who have a kind of a daddy figure to them. A lot of younger women like men who have a daddy figure to them, man. So don't act like all older men are these sexually aggressive predators and shit who prey on young women. Get this finger and stick it where you don't want to stick it. Man, get out of here with that bullshit. Man, there's younger women throw themselves at older men. Please. Again, man, at the risk of generalizing by race, man, white people don't be tripping on that hard like black people do. I notice black people trip on that age difference 2 to 3 times more than non-blacks do. A lot of non-black people, man, they don't be tripping on that age difference, man. That shit is normal for them, man. That shit's been going around for centuries. You hear me? That's been going on for centuries, man. For centuries, man, there's been older men dating and having sex with women significantly younger than them. For centuries. Man, that used to be a regular thing among powerful, wealthy men. They would marry a woman, and when she got to about the age of her like early, mid, late 40s, they would do one of two things. They would either just dump their wife and replace her with a much younger woman. Or if they didn't just flat out dump her, they would keep her, they would continue to finance her, take care of her, her living shelter, basically finance her lifestyle, but they would stop fucking her and they would get a concubine, a much younger concubine. That's how it was, man. This ain't nothing abnormal. This been going on for centuries, man. Older men. Man, why do you think one of the main things that motivates a lot of older men to want to become wealthy, powerful, influential, and high status? What do you think is one of their primary motivations? So they can pull a woman that's in their 50s and 60s? Don't let me give you another dog face. Man, that's one of the number one powerful things that motivates a lot of guys in their 40s and 50s to want to achieve a high degree of financial success and a high degree of social status, power, and influence is so they could be in a position to pull younger women. The only time men really want to be with women close, an older man wants to be with a woman close to his age, is if that woman's the mother to his children. That's the only time that the average man is enthusiastic about being with a woman. If he's, say, 45 years of age or older, that he's going to be enthusiastic about being with a woman that's in his same age group. Is if that woman's the mother to his children, or if not the mother to his children, he's been dating her for like years. Like he started dating her when he was in his 20s or 30s, and they've just grown. They have so many years underneath them, behind them, that, they got that strong bond. But let's say a man is 45 and he's totally single. He's out single and out in the dating scene. Man, there ain't too many men that are 45 years of age or older that want to hook up with a woman who's 45 years of age or older. Of course, you're going to have exceptions. You're going to have exceptions. But I'm saying by and large, most men, particularly if they're affluent, like i.e. making like $100,000 a year or more, man, please. If you believe that, you're delusional. Any man who's roughly 45 years of age or older that's single and making a minimum of $100,000 a year or more, he is not trying to hook up with no woman that's close to his age. I can almost guarantee you that. Rare exceptions aside, I don't want to hear about no rare exceptions. I'm talking about by and large. Like I remember, man, my brother one time got hated on a few years ago because, my brother's wife is roughly 7 years younger than him. I remember I was in Chicago hanging out with one of my cousins, and one of my cousin's friends, man, somehow we got on the subject of age difference. And I mentioned my brother's wife at that time, she was his fiance. And I remember this sister, man, she just started going off. She's like, your brother's disgusting for wanting to date a woman that young. She went as far as to call my brother a cradle robber. And his wife is only 7 years younger than him. Now, at the time, I think my brother's wife was 39 and my brother was 46. Yeah, she was 40. My sister-in-law was 39 and my brother was 46. And this sister in Chicago had the nerve to call that cradle robbing. A lot of men who are fathers of daughters do not want their daughters dating men who are significantly older than their daughters. And I would say even more so black men. I don't hear that those criticisms come from as much from white men, to be honest. And I hate to generalize by race, but it's just the truth. I don't hear white men talking about pulling out no shotgun if their daughter date an older man, particularly if the older man is financially self-sufficient and they feel like that older man's going to take care of their daughter financially. They don't have no problems with that shit. Most white men, they would rather see their young daughter with an older man who is financially self-sufficient and financially stable than with a young motherfucker who's broke and unemployed. But you got a lot of black men, they like, man, my daughter better not be out with no man who's 10, 15, 20 years older than her. Man, y'all niggas need to stop that noise. Second group of haters is older women who can't pull no men. Older women who can't pull no men. That's the second group of haters of the older man, younger woman relationships, is older women who can't pull no men. Like women who are 40 years of age older, 45 years of age older, 50 years of age older, and they having problems pulling men. And they realize that most of the men in their own age group don't want them. So they jealous and envious. Like, speaking of that, I remember I had this one woman. I went to high school. Well, we didn't go to high school together. She went to a different high school, but we were in high school around the same time. Name is Jacqueline. And usually I use fake names, but that's a real name. So y'all don't know her, so it don't matter. But that's a real name, Jacqueline. Fine. Jacqueline was fine. Jacqueline, if I had to compare her to somebody, she looked like maybe like Apollonia from Purple Rain. She was on that level. She was fine. She was fine, motherfucker. Fine red bone, man. Fine red bone, man. But I remember, man, she was married twice, man. Her first husband, she married when she was 21 or 22. Her husband was like 36, 37. Her first husband, he was at least, he was about approximately 15 years older than her. Then her second husband was even older than that. Her second husband, he was about 30 years older than her. I said, Jacqueline, you know I was always attracted to you, but you never seem to give me the time of day. I said, even though I had a lot of your friends used to always just throw the pussy at me, but I said, you always like treated me like just a platonic friend. I said, why is that? She said, I don't remember her exact words, so I'm going to be paraphrased, but essentially she said, Alan, I hate to break this to you, but she said, from the time I was in high school, I was never attracted to men my own age. She said, I never had any attraction for men that were close to my own age. She said, I was always attracted to men older than me. She said, I don't want to hurt your feelings, Alan, and I say this with all due respect to your mother. But she said, I was more attracted to your father than I was to you. And I was like, what? My father? I said, my father is old enough to be your dad. She said, exactly. That's what that confirmed the point. She was basically like, exactly. She said, that's what I'm attracted to. She said, she said, hypothetically, like if your father was a widow and say your mother had passed away and he was like a widow, she said, oh, I want to went after your father hard. She said, I want to went after your father hard. She said, your father, I thought he was extremely handsome. He was intelligent. He was well-spoken. She said, yeah, I would have hooked up with your father before I would have ever hooked up with you. I was just like, damn. That crushed my ego. I was like, damn, that's cold. But see, that just reaffirms my point about a lot of people thinking that it's the older man who's always the one who's the aggressive one, the initiator. You know, some people like to call older men creepy predators. That's bullshit, man. There's a lot of younger women who have the hots for older men. And this woman, Jacqueline, was admitting that. She said basically all the older men she hooked up with, she went after them. They didn't aggressively come after her. She went after them. So man, y'all need to stop with this hate of the older man, younger woman relationship, man. Y'all need to stop with that noise, man. A lot of men who are between 18 and 29, if they have a major attraction to a woman that's close to their age, a lot of them hate to see. But what it does for younger men is it motivates them to want to improve their career success, their financial success, and their overall game with women. Their game with women. Shoot, why instead of hating, what you need to be doing is fucking some of these older women like I used to do. Shoot, when I was in my 20s, man, I fucked a lot of women in their 30s and 40s. Shit, I fucked a lot of women who were in their 30s and 40s when I was in my 20s.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2,